Hi there, I'm Brian Geary. I'm the Director of Communications for Pearson College UWC, and I'd like to welcome you here today. We have another video segment. We'll be talking to two people who were key to the college's restart plan. So Fatma and Angela are two of the people who work to safely and efficiently, as much as possible, bring students back to campus. So this includes things like travel arrangements, quarantine arrangements, and just ensuring that everybody had the right, correct documentation in this very strange year of pandemic. So I'll just step out of the picture and I will let the stars take it on, and I'll be putting on my mask as well. Well, Fatma, Angela, thank you so much for taking time out of your respectively busy schedules. I know how incredibly focused you guys are now that we got the word that more students will be returning to Pearson. But let's go back in time a little bit. And Fatma, why don't you tell us about the whole process of actually getting close to 200 students back to their homes last March? That must have been a phenomenal 24-hour, 7 days a week effort.
So I will start with introducing myself. My name is Fatma Dosh, and I'm the Admissions Officer and Host Family Program Coordinator at Pearson College. So I manage admissions. I'm the main contact for nation committees and also incoming students. And I also manage the Host Family Program. So yes, it all started in March when we had to close the school and send all of our students home. So what happened is in March, we had so many international students who couldn't go home because of travel restrictions and border closures. And we had to find host families and places to stay for these students. So our alumni and our host families and also parents of our current students, they provided a place for our international students who weren't able to go home. So we are very thankful and grateful for their generosity and opening their homes. And at that time, of course, we experienced so many flight cancellations, and this was very unexpected. And we spent hours and hours and hours just working on finding places for our students to stay or finding flights for our students to go back home. So
it was a very chaotic time for everyone on campus. And it was a very emotional time too for students. I know they didn't want to go home, but unfortunately there was no choice.
Yes.
Sorry, carry on.
Absolutely. It was a very emotional time. And then after that, we were dealing with many uncertainties around closure of the school, and at the same time we were working on reopening our school, right? And we knew that we were going to be open in September, but the question was still, are we going to be open? So, and we were preparing for the worst, but also and have backup plans, but we were very positive. We knew that we were going to be open. And in the summertime, our question was, would the Canadian government issue study permits and lift the travel restrictions for our first-year international students? And at the end of summer, we still didn't know it was going to be happening or not. And it happened. So, but in the meantime, we have been working with the students, and we are trying to learn about policy changes that IRCC has, and also a few of our students received visa rejections, and we have been working with them to reapply. So it has been very different and difficult times for all of us, I think, for the parents and for our community, for our students. So, and I'm very thankful, and I think the students, they have been very patient. So it's really good to know, and I'm happy to support them, but it has been very emotional for all of us.
Just remind us of one thing. What is our IRCC?
Immigration, refugees, citizenship, and Canada. Right. So yeah,
that's the arm of the federal government that issued study visa restrictions, and that certainly affected us this spring. But we'll get into that in a minute.
Yes, absolutely.
Angela, why did you come in? What was your role back in March? It was probably not as robust as it has been in the past few months.
Let's see. So I'm Angela and I am the Community Partnerships and Events Manager at Pearson College. Like Fatma was saying, March was particularly crazy because it happened all of a sudden. And the thing that was I mean, every year we have a big wave of students that have to go home and then a wave of students that have to go back. But every year we have the time to plan it. And this year there was no time to plan it, and there was no real rule book as to how we did it. So we were kind of definitely flying by the seat of our pants for a lot of the time. We knew we had to get, buses organized and students on buses and students on flights, but none of that was operating at its full capacity. So that was a challenge. We often had to, book and rebook flights for students. This all started happening in March, and I'm trying to remember what the last flight was home that I arranged, but it went on for months. There were still some students that we were getting home that were students that were graduating from Pearson that we didn't get home until July, I believe. Yes. So, we would have a ticket booked for them, think they were going home. They literally have their bags packed, are ready to go to the airport the next morning, only to find out that their flight was canceled. And then we'd have to rebook and start the process all over again. Many of the students that went home in our sort of second wave of students going home were not on regularly scheduled flights. They were on what they called repatriation flights. So just even things like how do we pay for a repatriation flight was often a very difficult time. We'd had to pay multiple different organizations, multiple different ways. In some cases worrying about whether our payments actually got to the right people to pay for the ticket. We would pay for tickets only to find out that then the flight was canceled, so then the money would be returned to us and we would have to start the process all over again. So it was definitely chaotic. It was great to hear. I mean, every student that went home, we would have them report along the way. I've arrived at this point. And some of them had 3 or 4 points to get home before they actually arrived in their own country. And then they all faced a 14-day quarantine when they got to their own country as well. So in some cases, we actually even organized the hotels in their home countries, which was a little difficult because we often didn't know where we were placing them and whether the hotels were, where the hotels were, if they were safe hotels. We even had challenges with the fact that students if they're not 18, they can't stay in a hotel by themselves. So we would have to switch to find another hotel that would let them stay. Yeah. So yes, it was definitely chaotic. There was no rule book for what we were doing, but we survived.
Yes, absolutely. And in some cases, national committees helped us with organizing the flights, paying for the flights, or helping us booking hotels. So that was very helpful.
And it even took a whole. I think almost all of UWC helped us get students there and back, because many of the students were. Especially, actually, this is in the return of students. We needed the help of national committees in other countries to help us pay for a flight in order to help the student come back to Canada. So it really took not just a village, but an entire world to get the students home.
That's such an important point, because we're talking to two people here today, but you two are representing so many people throughout the community: volunteers, staff people, faculty, people who just support the UWC on principle, who made this possible.
Yes.
It's quite phenomenal. So we were looking at, if we go back to last March, we were looking at sending the first years home, because we thought we needed to reduce the footprint on campus, and then within days we realized we had to send everyone home, simply because of closing borders, travel restrictions, and that sort of thing. So I recall at that time there was a huge outpouring of emotions on campus, not just from the students, but also from all the people who were supporting them as well. Since that time, you guys must have been dealing with an incredible range of emotions on the part of students, on the part of their families, perhaps even members of national committees, people who remember what it was like to be a student. Can you tell us a little bit about that? How do you navigate that sort of emotional minefield sometimes?
That's definitely you, Fatma.
You became a house parent this year, so
yes.
I'm not sure. Do you want to go first, or?
Okay. So there, as Fatma mentioned, there were some students that were stuck in Canada, across Canada. We had people supporting students all the way across Canada, including our family. We did have a student come and stay with us for I think she was with us for 4 months.
Yes.
So, and it was definitely unexpected. We found out and had her staying with us within a few days. But we just, you just carry on. You accept them as part of your family. We're lucky that we're staying on campus. So we live on campus. And so for the student, it wasn't much of a change. And she did have the beautiful background of Pearson College that she could, have some space and be able to be outside. But yes, it was sudden and not what we were expecting, but we definitely, wanted to jump in and help where we could.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Fatma had the almost daily dealings with families and students and committees.
I mean, it has been emotional, I think, for everyone. I feel for the students, I feel for the parents, because it is a very uncertain situation. I think for me, I'm very emotionally invested in it. I find myself almost every visa rejections and emails, and I feel for the students because they get disappointed. Today is October 16th, I believe, so it's still going on. In an usual year, we have all of our students on campus, and everybody knows what is going to happen there in their first year. They know about their classes. I mean, they still know right now, but they're doing online learning, and it's extremely challenging for the students because of different time zones and also not being part of the campus and community. And I can feel that from the students. I can feel the frustration. I can feel the disappointment, and that impacts me, and I'm also an emotional person. So I feel like I'm connected with the students and the parents. Therefore, that part is very, very difficult for me and emotional. I mean, it is okay to do the work and it's fine, but it has been a long stretch, let's put it that way. It has been 6 months, and so we are still dealing with the challenges, and it's ongoing. It's not over yet, but I am thinking we are almost there.
We know there's a huge amount of emotional energy invested in these types of situations, as well as physical energy, as well as hard work. Let's maybe just fast forward then to August, September, the time that we knew that at least we would be able to get our students from Canada back and from certain other jurisdictions, shall we say. So what happened then, Angela, in particular? We knew we would have to quarantine all students, and we made the decision to quarantine Canadian students so that everybody would have an equivalent experience. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the logistics of that?
So first, I would like to say, excuse me, thank you. We had a huge hotel partner that it would not have been possible without them. We had several meetings. It was mostly, Zoom meetings. I went down to the hotel a few times, but mostly Zoom meetings. But the hotel was a tremendous support. They, behind the scenes, had everything. We mapped out what we needed done, but they really figured out how to actually make it work. So we tried to have most of the students arrive on one day, and we did have a large chunk of students arrive on one day. I think there were 105 that arrived on the initial day. So we were able to start the quarantine with quite a large number of people. After that, we did have, people trickling in after that. So our quarantine was continuously changing and it being extended for some people and being shortened for others. But the process at the hotel, it was actually amazing. The first day when everyone came in, and I mentioned that we were really flying by the seat of our pants in terms of knowing how everything was going to happen. For the first day, when that 105 people came, it actually went very, very smoothly.
I recall that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was shocked. I was kept waiting for something to go wrong, and it wasn't like we had stopped and said, okay, who's handing out thermometers, who's taking people to their rooms, who's getting them, to every little thing. We hadn't really discussed it, but it just kind of all fell into place. It was a very long day. I don't recall having had lunch until about 4:30 that afternoon. We didn't really stop the whole day, but a wave of students, we have from the picking them up at the airport, getting them to the hotel. Then we would have a wave of students come into the ballroom where we would give them a bit of a brief rundown of how the things would work. Like they had to all have their temperatures checked. They all were told about the rules about not leaving their room, how meals would be delivered, and then we had to take them 2 at a time because the capacity for the elevators was 2 people. So we would split up and take in the 2 elevators, take them up to their rooms, get them settled in their rooms, and then put the little business card in their door to show that their room was in quarantine. So we did that for 105 students throughout the day, which is what made it take a long time. But the delivery of the meals 3 times a day, the coordinating with the hotel went fairly seamlessly. We didn't have anybody that missed a meal or anything. We start on one floor, deliver all the meal, we knock on all the doors. The hotels would place all the meals in front of all of the doors. Students would come and get their meal, and then we would wait until the door shut to put them back in quarantine again. And we would do that 3 times a day, every day for the 14 days that they were in the hotel. And like I said, I can't recall too many incidents of things going wrong, which was amazing. I kept waiting for something to go wrong.
But the complement to that was that we had to have chaperones 24/7 at the hotel. And you also organized that. And that must have been a massive effort because it was all volunteer labor.
Yes, I do say people were probably tired of hearing from me, but yes, it was. And I mean, hats off to all of the Pearson staff, because it was just Pearson staff that were the volunteers for the whole time. So it was, just constantly keeping track of there were 3 shifts a day, and some people, including one that was overnight. So there were definitely chaperones on site 24 hours a day, and all manned by Pearson staff and faculty. And yeah, it was amazing that, some people were there for several days in a row monitoring the students and, checking their temperatures. And we needed lots of snacks. Snacks in itself were almost a separate job, yes, for growing young people. Yeah, so it was quite the undertaking, but it was, and it was great when they finally all arrived on campus that day to see how excited they were to be here. And the miraculous thing is that no one got sick.
Exactly.
So that was amazing.
Everything was done in a safe, physically distanced, and appropriate manner in line with all public health directives. So it is truly, truly amazing now. Now, I don't want to scare anyone, but we're about to embark on that sort of scenario again, aren't we?
Yes.
We are recording this in mid-October, as you mentioned, and it's just been about 10 days or so since the Canadian government has lifted certain study visa restrictions, and that means we expect another wave to come in. Unfortunately, we're probably going to lose a few students because they and their families had to make a few tough decisions, but we are looking at several dozen, at least, students, I guess it would be, who are returning here. So where does the process, now you must be old hands at this, So what happens now?
We have about 4 students arriving on October 23rd. These are our first students. They have their study permits and they will arrive next Friday. So we are very excited about that. And we have 59, I believe, international students, other than these 4 students waiting to enter Canada. And they are waiting to receive their study permits. And we are very hopeful that they will be able to arrive in the next month or so and receive their study permits. And our board members, our head of college, and we are all doing everything that we can to bring the students to Canada, and also finding out more where their applications are in terms of study permits. And we wanted to expedite the process. We are doing everything we can, but let's see what happens with that. But we are very hopeful that we will have all of our students by the end of first term. So that's what we are hoping for.
And meanwhile, in that period, of course, we're still providing online learning and teaching.
Yes.
So they are definitely considered part of our cohort, our year 47 cohort, the first years. And we're doing everything possible in a virtual world to make sure that they feel that they're part of the Pearson community.
Absolutely.
We can't wait for them to be physically part of the Pearson community.
Absolutely, yes.
Sorry.
And so yes, once we get them all on flights, hopefully I think we'll be just starting the same process over again. We're lucky enough that the same hotel partner has just this morning agreed to help us once again. So the thing that will be nice is we won't have to reinvent the wheel. We already have a process that seemed to work quite well the first time around, so hopefully we'll just continue with that process to get all the rest of the students here. I think that more of the challenge that will happen this time is they won't come in large groups. They'll be, as soon as they get visas, they'll be on their way, and we'll have them coming in short, smaller groups rather than one larger group. So I think that will be probably a little bit more of a challenge, but hopefully still get them all here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the main thing is that they're traveling here. They're literally on their way in some cases, and figuratively on their way in other cases, as soon as the visa processing delays are taken care of. So we're going to be wrapping this up fairly soon, but I'm interested. What keeps you going, and what keeps you getting up and enthusiastic in the morning about these very challenging jobs that you do? Why don't you go ahead?
Definitely coffee. My family, and also being outdoors, going for walks, playing tennis, and of course helping students and supporting them. And I think it's very rewarding. Also, when I saw your 47 introduction video, I was in tears. I felt very emotional. It was wonderful to see the faces of your 47 students on a video all together. And I can't wait to see all of them on campus, walking around the campus and coming to the library to my office and asking for things. I'm very excited about that day. So.
Likewise for me, being a house parent and being on campus, I have students that are currently here asking me all the time, when are the other students getting here? So it's seeing their enthusiasm to get the new first year students that have not yet arrived here on campus. They've got spots held for them in their rooms. They include them in our house parent conversations every week. So we're looking forward to having them here just so we can have a complete house. It still feels like there's something missing every time, and I know all of the students are looking forward to having them here. So that's sort of what keeps me going. I can see every day how excited the students are, and it'll be great to have the rest of them here as well.
Okay, that's a really nice way to finish it off. But is there anything that we've missed that you would like to add? And if not, don't feel forced.
Just maybe a big thank you to all of the people that helped us get the students here. It took not just the two of us, but a lot of people to get everybody here. From host families, don't stop me if I forget anybody, host families, national committees, alumni, all the staff and faculty, and I'm sure, the students and the parents themselves. It took a lot of people to help get them here.
Definitely. We all worked so hard and we're almost there, and I think we will have all of our students on campus soon. So thank you to everyone.
Yes.
We're really looking forward to the day. And thank you, Fatma. Thank you, Angela. We really appreciate you taking the time to share a little bit of this information and insight with the people who are going to be watching this. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.